We knew that the week heading into the NHL draft was gonna be chaotic with a lot of trades, trade rumors, a lot of free agency stuff maybe taking place. And coming off of the heels of the massive Brady Kachuk trade, we got our wish. And boy, oh boy, what a week it was for the NHL. I think on Monday, the entire hockey world was still trying to process the Brady Kachuk trade. And I think it left a lot of fans wondering what teams were going to respond, how they were going to respond, and we kind of got an answer. Tuesday was the big day. Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026 is a day that hockey fans will not be forgetting anytime soon. And when you talk to an NHL fan or someone associated with the NHL and you ask them, what's the wildest day that you've experienced in the NHL? And a lot of people will look to June 29th, 2016. That was the day that has been said shook the hockey world. That was the day where we saw the groundbreaking that was the day that we saw Steven Stamkos re-sign in Tampa Bay, and then we got the earth-shattering trades of Taylor Hall for Adam Larson, and then PK Subban for Shea Weber. All happening in a span of just 23 minutes, mind you. And I will say one thing. June 23rd, 2026, it gave it a run for its money. While the trades that we did get on Tuesday maybe didn't necessarily have the name value of Taylor Hall, Shea Weber, PK Subban, but the names that did get traded were pretty big names. It all started with the trade between the New Jersey Devils and the Calgary Flames, where we saw New Jersey trade Simone Nemec and Maxine Siplikov over to the Calgary Flames in exchange for a lot of draft picks. I like this trade kind of for both teams, actually. I like the trade for Calgary. They bring in a young defenseman who still has a lot of potential left. Let's not forget, Simone Nemec was the number 2 overall pick at one point. And New Jersey, I like what they did there, bringing in some draft picks. 2 first-round picks from 2027 and 2028, and also the 35th overall pick in this year's draft. So I actually don't mind the trade for both sides. Calgary's still trying to piece things together, trying to get a little bit younger. New Jersey, we knew that the Simone Nemec saga was going to lead to this. And I still do think that Simone Nemec has a lot of potential. And I just think that it wasn't going to work out in New Jersey. It was very clear that it wasn't going to work out in New Jersey. And maybe a fresh start in Calgary is just what the kid needs. Then we had the Ottawa Senators make their presence felt after the Brady Kachuk trade, where they made a deal with the San Jose Sharks. This was the trade that saw Ottawa trade the number 9th overall pick that they got in the Brady Kachuk trade to the San Jose Sharks for William Eklund, Kasper Haltonen, and Brandon Svoboda. Again, I don't mind this trade for either side. San Jose gets another top draft pick, and Ottawa gets a very nice piece back that is still kind of tied to the Brady Kachuk trade. And I still don't think that Ottawa is going to be done. Then we got a little bit crazy with things. We got the Jordan Kyrou trade from St. Louis to Washington. And as a big fan of Jordan Kyrou and a big fan of the Pittsburgh Penguins, I don't like seeing him going to the Washington Capitals. But it is what it is. Washington trades Connor McMichael, which kind of surprised a lot of people. McMichael, a younger player still, a very good player still, a prospect, and as well their first round pick, which is number 26 in this year's draft. Again, I like the trade for St. Louis. It's clear that Jordan Kyrou wasn't going to fit anymore in St. Louis, so you get a pretty decent haul back, and a haul that, again, I'm sure not a lot of people were expecting. Connor McMichael going the other way is a pretty good get for St. Louis, and while yes, he may not be Jordan Kyrou, he is still a very, very good player. Then we got even crazier with the Buffalo Sabres trading Bowen Byram and Jordan Greenway to the Chicago Blackhawks for the number 4th overall pick, as well as another pick and Louis Crevier. I absolutely love this trade for the Buffalo Sabres. A team that finally made the playoffs, a team that had to move on from Alex Tuck, which is something that we'll touch on in a little bit. And you trade a defenseman who was a very good defenseman, is a very good defenseman, but you trade him for the number 4th overall pick. And let's be honest, Buffalo can do some damage with this pick, as well as getting pick number 45 in this draft and defenseman Louis Crevier. It's a nice bit of work from the Buffalo Sabres. And considering, from a Chicago standpoint, you gave up the number 4th overall pick, which you can argue that they could have used still, but they trade Bowen Byram wanting him to be the number 1 guy, and Bowen Byram hasn't necessarily been the number 1 guy wherever he's been. In Colorado, he was behind Cale Makar, and in Buffalo, he was behind Rasmus Dahlin. So we've never seen Bowen Byram be the number 1 defenseman on a team. So I'm wondering just how he's going to look in Chicago. And then on Wednesday, we obviously had the big Alex Tuch trade from Buffalo to Washington. Again, another nice little bit of work from the Buffalo Sabres. And for Washington, yeah, they get a really good player in Alex Tuch. Signing him for an 8-year deal is a choice. Look, I love Alex Tuch as a player, but let's be honest. Father Time is undefeated, and Alex Tuch isn't necessarily the youngest of players anymore. The next 2 days were relatively calm in terms of big name trades, but the rumors coming out from this whole Jason Robertson saga has been something to watch. So that lands us to today, Friday, and the NHL draft happens tonight in Buffalo. And with big names like Jason Robertson being out there, and with Detroit still being pretty dang quiet with the whole Dylan Larkin situation, who knows what the NHL could look like at the end of Friday night and when the draft is all said and done. It should be a pretty wild night in Buffalo, and with the draft being decentralized again like it was last year, I'm wondering if we're going to see the trades continue or if we're going to see them pick back up once the draft is said and done and we move on to free agency. So that is a little bit of a recap from what was a wild week for the NHL as we head in to the 2026 NHL draft. And this is where I want to hear from you guys. Let me know your thoughts on this week, and let me know what you think is the wildest day in NHL history. Do you still think that it is June 29th, 2016, or do you think that June 23rd, 2026 gave it a run for its money? And also let me know what you think we could get once we hit the NHL draft and beyond the draft and enter into free agency. As always, don't forget to leave all of your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section, and while you're down there, swing by the description, click the Linktree link. That is the only link in the description for a reason. That is because it'll take you to all of the social media platforms for this channel. Currently, right now, we are only on Instagram and X, and I will say the Instagram page does get a little more tender love and care because that is how this entire page started in the first place. So with all that said and done, that is going to do it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. Again, both are free, both really help out the channel a lot. And of course, if you have made it to this point of the video, I want to say thank you very, very much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch these videos here because it genuinely does mean the world to me. And as always, stay tuned for more hockey and jersey content coming in the future. We'll see you next time.